Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with a very special edition of Brian versus the Dirtsheets. Now, I know typically for an episode of Brian versus the Dirtsheets, I come up here, review some dirt sheet reports, try to expose some bias and bullshit, but we're not going to do that today. So, episode 124 of RingTakes was originally going to be recorded tonight, but due to Daniel attending a concert and Louis being a very hardworking and tired man, we've decided to postpone that episode until next week. So that will be next week's episode where we'll give our picks for the next upcoming PLE Crown Jewel, and we'll also cover any news and notes or from Raw and SmackDown, and anything else that's happening in the pro wrestling world. So that will be next week. But then I decided, I have free time. Why not me try to take the combined effort of us three and try to make it into a one-man show? So that's what I'm going to do tonight. So this is going to be a RingTakes edition of Brian versus the Dirtsheets. Now, we may, as a matter of fact, we're going to jump right into it because the very first topic is going to be a very Brian versus the Dirtsheet-esque. We're going to talk about the botch heard around the world, or the finish heard around the world from Friday Night SmackDown in the main event for the WWE Women's Championship, where Tiffany Stratton defended the title in a triple threat match with Jade, Cargill, and Nia Jax. So a quick rundown of what happened. The match was very hard-hitting. We get to the very end where Nia throws Jade into the steel steps, busts Jade open, which I guess apparently that had an impact on the finish of the match or whatever the case may be. But fast forward past that, Jade hits Nia with the Eye of the Storm finish, which is I believe it's a sidewalk slam or a black hole slam. Goes for the pin. 1, 2, Nia kicks out. After Nia kicks out, Tiffany Stratton runs into the ring, pushes Jade Cargill out of the ring, and then immediately pins Nia again. Referee counts 1, 2. Nia's shoulders are still down, so the referee should have counted the 3, but the referee stopped and signaled the 2 count, and then Nia kicked out like 5 seconds later, to which anybody with 2 eyes could clearly see that the referee should have counted the 3. Tiffany Stratton, I think it then hits another knee or whatever the case on Nia, pulls her to another corner, hits the prettiest moonsault ever. Tiffany Stratton retains the title. Now there's been so much narrative and discussion about this finish and how some people are calling it one of the worst botches for a main event in the history of the WWE. Now a lot of reports have come out stating what was supposed to happen. Based upon my eyes and my breakdown of it, clearly what was supposed to happen was Jade was supposed to hit Nia with the black hole slam, as she did, Eye of the Storm. Then Tiffany was supposed to run in, knock Jade out of the ring or push Jade out of the ring and steal the pin and the win. But I think what happened was after Jade hit the finish and she was going for the pin, Tiffany Stratton was nowhere in sight. So from a psychological aspect, her being one of the talents in the ring, common sense would say you hit the finish, go for the pin. Now, Tiffany mistimed everything, or she wasn't on her feet, or I don't know what the situation was, but she clearly mistimed what was supposed to happen. And then that forced Jade to go for the pin, and then Nia kick out at 2 because the planned finish was Tiffany Stratton coming out on top, so Nia had to kick out. Now, Tiffany runs in after the fact to try to somewhat save the spot and to try to continue with the spot by knocking Jade out of the ring and going for the pinfall. But I think what the referee did is that she, like me, was thinking, well, I can't count to 3 because that's going to make Nia look stupid psychologically. This is Nia Jax we talking about, yo. She's the monster heel in the WWE. So it makes no sense at all for her to kick out to get a 2 count, and then for Tiffany to just run in and pin her again and then win at 3. This is Nia Jax we talking about. Have you guys seen Nia Jax? Psychologically, physically, it would have made absolutely no sense whatsoever for Nia to get the 3 count there. Now I get Nia was still continuing on with the plan. I'm assuming so, but from what I saw, Tiffany was clearly supposed to steal the pin and the win, and the referee was trying to protect Nia in the sense, because again, it makes no sense for a monster heel like Nia Jax to kick out at 2, literally have nothing happen to her, and then get pinned again, and then stay down for a 3 count. So they improvised. Tiffany hit the moonsault with the win. Like I said, there's been a lot of narrative and discussion online. If you go to our X page at RingTakes, NoDQ.com put out an article in which Dave Meltzer has stated that this main event match was the worst WWE match of the year. Now, as the controller of the RingTakes account, I retweeted NoDQ.com's story, and I stated, so because of the final 30 seconds of the match, it's going to be called the worst match of the year. Make it make sense. A lot of fans reposted and liked the tweet. We appreciate the love. But then Dave Meltzer himself, I'm actually going to see if I can actually pull this up on my phone right now, because it's very comical, and it's actually the first interaction that Dave Meltzer has had with RingTakes, as I can find it on my phone right now. So he retweets our post and states that essentially his opinion was based on the whole match, but please name a few worse in WWE for a comparison. I can name one off the top of my head right now, Dave. Did you not see Becky Lynch versus Nikki Bella at Clash in Paris? You want to talk about a bad match? You take that match off that card would have been perfect, because it was the perfect wrestling card. It was the perfect wrestling event. And I'm not even just talking about the botch with Nikki Bella and the kick. The whole entire match was just clunky all the way through. There was so many missed time spots. You can clearly see that Nikki Bella was very, very rusty in the ring, but it made for a very bad match. That match alone was worse than what we saw in this main event. I know a lot of people are saying, well, there were a lot of missed time spots in this match too. From what I saw, and based upon the styles of all 3 of these women, it was a very hard hitting match. Some people want to bring up, what about Nia Jax throwing Jade Cargill into the steel steps and busting Jade open? It's professional wrestling. Shit happens, and this is the number one critique that I have with some fans when they were critiquing wrestling. It's just like, not every match is supposed to look like gymnastics. Not every match is supposed to look as clean as you guys want it. Everybody ain't Bryan Danielson and Will Ospreay, man. That's my response to it. Like, you're gonna have some match. At the end of the day, professional wrestling is fighting, so it has to look like a semblance of a fight. How many fights have you seen in your life, whether it's a street fight or whatever the case may be, that look like gymnastics with clean flips and guys waiting for each other to hit each other's moves and all that sort of stuff? It's professional wrestling. It's still a fight, so it still has to somewhat look like a fight. I think a lot of fans, they don't think about that, and they think everything has to look crisp, like it's like I said, like it's gymnastics or something. But everybody ain't like not even just Will Ospreay or Bryan Danielson. There's been plenty of other matches. I mean, if you want to talk about AEW with some of their talent, with some of their match quality, everybody ain't them, man. And professional wrestling has to look like some semblance of a fight, and that triple threat was a fight. The match was very good up until Jade Cargill hit that black hole slam. So And the crazy thing about it is, in going back to Dave Meltzer, I responded to his retweet and mentioned Becky versus Nikki Bella, he hasn't said a goddamn thing since. Now, either he doesn't have time, didn't see it, or he realizes I'm fucking right, and he overreacted like a lot of the fans overreacted to that match. And I get it. Some fans want to say, a bad finish kind of takes away from the other parts of the match, which it's an argument I can understand. It's an argument I can understand. But mistakes happen. The referee was trying to protect a monster heel. That's the reason why she didn't count the 3. And I don't think in this case that botched finish, but because at the end of the day, we got the finish that needed to happen with Tiffany Stratton retaining the title and going on to Crown Jewel to face Stephanie Vacker for the Crown Jewel ring. We got the finish we wanted. It was a little rough getting there, but we got there. But to go and say that this is the worst WWE match of the year is an overreaction. It's a stretch. We can only hope that moving forward, all three women take a lesson from this moving forward and have better timing and communication. I'm hoping that as a result of this match, we get Tiffany and Jade one more time, and hopefully we get Jade Cargill coming out on top. Because of me personally, I've had enough of this whole reign with Tiffany Stratton ever since the Charlotte feud at WrestleMania. I feel that her stock has dropped since then. All the title matches and such that she's had with Nia and various others since then haven't been as good. I just think it's time for a new champion at this point. So that was Friday. So that was Friday night SmackDown. Moving on to this past Monday from Monday Night Raw, we got the return of Roman Reigns again. Roman Reigns showed up during the main event tag team match with the Usos and the Vision. Violently beat down Braun Breaker, made his presence known, and was the catalyst in the Usos defeating the Vision. First of all, it's always great to have Roman Reigns back. This guy, he's on Brock Lesnar level as far as an attraction right now, and it's crazy when you think about it, because this was a guy that during Vince McMahon's booking was booked so hard to try to be a babyface hero, and the crowd just wasn't buying it because Vince McMahon was pushing him so hard and shoving him down everybody's throat. And it almost got to a point where fans were just clamoring for him to turn heel already and just be a bad guy because the fans don't want him. And then when he finally did become that heel tribal chief character, he pulled it off so well, having a 4-year title reign, that when he finally did lose, and he came back at that SummerSlam a couple of years ago, the crowd loved him and they wanted him, and the crowd loves him right now. Every time you get an OTC chance, the Roman Reigns chance. And, it's always a pleasure to have him back. After the match, he grabbed Jey Uso with Jimmy in the background and kind of just reiterated to him, like, this is what you have to do, kind of reiterating the message he had stated to Jey about, fuck everybody else, worry about you, you got to get your title back, you got to be the guy. And we've seen over the weeks on Monday Night Raw this turn that we're slowly seeing from Jey Uso, not wearing his merchandise anymore, wearing all black. And you can slowly start to see that he may be turning to the dark side, and it's definitely a very intriguing story. I'm hoping and praying that we get Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker at Crown Jewel. I'm not sure if Roman Reigns has been advertised for that show in Australia. If he is, him and Braun Breaker, Battle of the Spears, sign me up. And you might as well because you've been pretty much playing this game with Roman Reigns, the Usos, and the Vision with LA Knight and CM Punk, and you're pretty much setting up for War Games coming up next month in November. So you might as well, keep keep stalling with these different variations and combinations of matches. And since we're on that topic, last week's episode of Monday Night Raw was the main event between Rhea Ripley facing Asuka. That match last week was the first time, and I think in like a month and a change, that the Vision didn't main event the show against a variation of the Usos, LA Knight, Sami Zayn, CM Punk, whoever that is. And then we come back this week, and we're back at it again with the Usos and the Vision. I can only hope moving forward, because as far as I'm concerned, we're probably going to get variations of this shit up until War Games. When War Games is over, we better not see this shit anymore, because I'm getting tired of it. It's the same old. Either the Vision is standing tall, or whoever the baby faces are, they come out on top. It's just getting it's been very repetitive for the last couple of months. And if you keep up with the ratings on with Netflix and such, it's definitely shown with the ratings dropping, and it's just getting to be much. I myself, I'm just give me the War Games so we can be done with this shit once and for all, please. Moving on. In the opening segment, in the middle segment of the night, we had Rhea Ripley and Io Sky making it official that they will be facing the Kabuki Warriors at Crown Jewel. This story between Io and the Kabuki Warriors. Rhea Ripley kicked off the show. Pretty much expressing that she wants the Kabuki Warriors, and then Io Sky came out to try to explain to her, like, yeah, this is my family. This is my family, and still trying to be that sympathetic babyface. I'm gonna just say this as an aside: Io is one of the hottest women competitors in the WWE this year. Thank God she's one of the best wrestlers in the world and not an actress, because. I get it. Professional wrestlers wrestle. I mean, there is an acting portion to it, but they wrestle. Her trying to, be emotional and sell the fact that she's in this bond with her family didn't come off the best way on television. Like I said, wrestlers wrestle. She's one of the hottest women in the company right now. But acting is not her forte, and obviously English is not not even her first language. So for what she's doing right now, everything she's doing right now in the ring is making up for it. I just wanted to say that as an aside. And then I think the segment ended with the Kabuki Warriors coming out and attacking both Rhea and Io, and then Asuka with the mist in Io's face, kind of cementing the heel turn. If it wasn't cemented as of last week, and then you had the segment in backstage with Rhea and Io where they made it official for this tag match. This story is going to be very interesting moving forward, and WWE has a huge task because whenever you have a story of this magnitude, and I hate to bring this up, but whenever you have women who English is not their first language, and you're trying to communicate the story to the audience because the talent maybe not be able to do it as well, it is quite a challenge. And that video package that they did when Io and Rhea were in the ring, and they used those subtitles for what Asuka was saying. That's definitely going to be something that they're going to have to do moving forward to kind of get the story across. I mean, but the story itself is pretty simple. Friend gets betrayed by family members that she considers her sisters, and it's a simple story, but you still need to be able to communicate that story to the masses. And it's going to be a very good match. I'm looking forward to it. And eventually when we get Io and Oscar one-on-one, that's going to be a banger, and I can't wait. Next topic. Bayley, who has been killing it with this new split personality character. 1 minute she's a babyface, next minute she's a heel. One minute she's smiling, next minute she's yelling. 1 minute she's helping somebody up, the next minute she's pushing somebody down. And she's pulled this off masterfully this past week on Raw. She had a match with Raquel Rodriguez. Lyra Valkyria refused to come out to ringside with her because of the events that transpired last week. As a result, because of Roxanne Perez being on the outside, Raquel would end up getting the win. They beat down Bayley, and then Lyra, being that baby face, couldn't stand to see Bayley getting beat down. Decides to run down, help her out. She assumes that Bayley is going to act the exact same way that she acted last week and kind of just like reject her help and be angry. But Bayley switched it up and was the babyface character saying, "You got him, good job." And Lyra was standing over there, looking all confused as hell. I will say this much: Lyra Valkyria is the perfect person for this role because her facial reactions reacting to Bayley have been like spot on. Confused, frustrated, not knowing what she's gonna do next. Her facial expressions have been like perfect in regards to this split personality character that Bayley is portraying. Bayley has been knocking it out of the park. I'm intrigued. I'm looking forward to more moving forward. Eventually Bayley might go full heel with this, and she's gonna like attack Lyra. And I can only imagine what that's gonna look like. But she has been knocking this out of the park. All right, so that was Monday Night Raw. My final topic for tonight: NXT Showdown. Oh, NXT versus TNA Showdown, which is taking place next week. This was an event that was initially called Invasion, but due to the sensitivity of the term invasion with the country of Israel, they decided to change it to Showdown. We have NXT versus TNA. We're going to have 2 Survivor Series style matches, one for the men, one for the women. We're going to have Ethan Page defending the North American title against Mustafa Ali. We're going to have Dark State versus the Hardys, title for the tag team titles. I think that's all the matches that were announced. There may be 1 or 2 or something in there. There's a lot to this show. And it's going to be going head-to-head with AEW Dynamite, which is going to be moving to Tuesday for Title Tuesday, which I'm assuming is because of the MLB baseball playoffs. So this is going to be very interesting on how this is all going to play out. First things first, on the TNA side with this invasion. So due to Ash by Elegance's injury, and we wish her the best, and due to the domestic abuse allegations against Masha Slamovich, they had a battle royal at Victory Road for a new TNA Knockouts champion. The former Xia Li and Kalani Jordan were the last 2. They then had a match for which Kalani Jordan came out on top and became the new TNA Knockouts champion. I completely didn't agree with this. I didn't agree with this decision. I felt like there are plenty of other women on TNA's roster that are like TNA originals. You got Alicia Edwards, Rosemary, a couple of others that you could have gone with. I feel as though that if you're doing this NXT versus TNA, if your champions or your captain should be, your captain in this case, because of what happened with Masha and Ash, should have been, for me, a TNA original. That's just my opinion. Congratulations to Kalani Jordan, though. They kicked off the show with JC Jane and Ricky Saints, who just won the NXT title. Congratulations to him. And Santino and Ava and everybody out in the ring with them. And Santino was picking his captains. He picked Mike Santana, and then he picked Kalani Jordan, who contractually is still an NXT superstar. So again, this is why I felt like they should have either went with Xia Li or they should have went with a TNA original. And I'm assuming that the results of Victory Road were going to be Ash by Elegance retaining, and she was going to have to end up being one. But she's another one. You know, when you think about Ash by Elegance, even though she's been in TNA for a little bit now, you still think about Dana Brooke in WWE. So, and that's another thing about this this TNA roster right now. I mean, if you look at the roster up and down, more than half of the roster is ex-WWE stars. So when you see this invasion or showdown happening, it's kind of funny. You're looking at it and you're kind of thinking to yourself, damn, why you guys so mad? Is it because half of you guys got released from from NXT and WWE? I mean, when you look at it from that magnitude, but Kalani Jordan, she's the captain for Team TNA, which also includes the Inspiration, the former Iconics of Jessica McKay and Cassie Lee or Peyton Royce. That's her former character. I don't know her real name off the top, so I apologize. I apologize. And the former Jakara Jackson, who's now Marie Sade. I don't know the name off the top of my head. I just know her as Jakara Jackson, who, according to a lot of fans, has been making WWE NXT pay for letting her go in the first place, because what she's been doing in TNA has been damn near impressive. So I'm glad that she's getting this spot. And I think on the women's NXT team, we got JC Jane, the champion, with Lola Vice, Jada Parker, and Sol Ruka. That's as NXT as you can get with those four. And then on the men's side, you got Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, the TNA men's champion, which was funny because Santino, right when he was picking his captain, he picked Mike Santana. Didn't want to pick the world champion, which in that case makes sense because Trick, even though he's a TNA world champion, he is NXT. Former football player or former athlete turned the WWE's superstar, along with Javon Evans and a surprise Miles Bourne. I'm actually very surprised they went in that direction. So for him to be in this match, this definitely shows that he is somebody that they have high hopes for. I call him Baby Randy because of the tattoos and the gear. He literally does look like another Randy Orton. And then I mentioned the other two title matches with Ethan Page and Mustafa Ali. So this is going to be a very entertaining show. But the reason why I wanted to talk about this topic, bring up this topic, is because for me, the result of this show next week is really going to determine is going to determine whether or not this is even a partnership or not. I don't know if anybody's noticed, but when's the last time that TNA actually had a TNA star had a significant win over an NXT star? Their men's world champion is Trick Williams. The women's champion, as of Victory Road, is Kalani Jordan. So you got two NXT stars with their titles. You have this tag team match title for title with the Hardys and Dark State, which I'm going to come out and tell you right now. Dark State is winning that match because at Bound for Glory, the Hardys are going to be facing the Dudleys. And realistically, you don't even need the tag team titles in that match. I mean, the match sells itself. You got two of the greatest tag teams in wrestling history going against one another to determine once and for all who's the best. You don't need tag team titles for that. It's a legacy match for me. You don't need tag team titles for that. So Dark State's going to come out on top. Then you got Ethan Page and Mustafa Ali. I would love to see Mustafa Ali come out on top. I mean, he's been a favorite of mine since the Cruiserweight Classic days. And to see what he's doing right now in TNA with this new kind of, somewhat political character, I love to see it. And I love the promo that he cut on Ethan Page on NXT, talking about how 2 years ago to this day, he did have a scheduled scheduled North American title match at NXT No Mercy. I guess then champion Dominic Mysterio. But then like I think a couple of days before the event, they released him. So I love the fact that he's getting this opportunity. I would love for him to win. But they have been telling this story between Ethan Page and El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. Dr. Wagner Jr. that it looks as though we're going to have a North American title match between those two. So it looks like Ethan Page is going to retain. So everything I'm saying right now, it looks like NXT, and I'm hoping that with the Survivor Series matches, they're probably going to split them where the men are going to, where like TNA will get one and then NXT will get another one. If NXT sweeps this event, I'm seriously going to fucking consider what the fuck is the point of this partnership? Because a partnership is give and take, not take and take and take and take. So if NXT is always coming out on top, how is that making TNA viable as a brand? Now I know eventually there's certain things that are going to happen. Like I'll call it right now for Bound for Glory. Mike Santana is beating Trick Williams. I hope and pray Mike Santana beats Trick Williams and to bring the TNA title back. But you still have to make TNA a viable brand and make them competitive. I don't, like I said, I'm gonna ask, what was the whole point of the partnership? Was it just give TNA exposure? I mean, if it's just about exposure, then okay. Then they've gotten a lot of exposure on the CW. If the goal of the partnership is to get them a TV deal, which that's a rumor going on right now. Okay, but at the end of the day, you can't always just have NXT coming out on top. You gotta give TNA some wins too. Hell, I would even say if you're gonna have the champions retain and have Dark State win the TNA Tag Team title. Sorry for the technical. You got animosity between Trick Williams and Ricky Saints on the men's side of things, and on the women's side of things, Lola Vice and JC Jane just had a title match, and JC being the heel captain, and the other three being baby faces. You can play up to that. You can play up to that tension being the reason why that they fall apart, because if you look at it on the TNA men's team, I forgot to announce for the TNA men's team, Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and I'm trying to remember the last competitor off the top of my head, and Leon Slater, the X Division champion, which by the way, him and Javon Evans at Bound for Glory is going to be a banger. A tag team match that they had against the Culling. I mean, the athleticism between both guys, man, that match is gonna be crazy. And it was the first time I actually saw Leon Slater in a match. His finish, that swanton into the 450, is probably one of the most athletic things I've ever seen in my life. So I'm looking forward to that match at Bound for Glory. You could definitely see that TNA is more together than NXT. So I would set it up and have TNA win both Survivor Series elimination matches, and then just have Ethan Page retain his NXT North American title, and then Dark State win the tag team titles. Again, if this whole Dr. Wagner story wasn't happening, I definitely would say Mustafa Ali should win the title. But they've already been pushing the Dr. Wagner versus Ethan Page, with Dr. Wagner doing the promo last week, pretty much saying that he wants the North American title. So they're going to keep going forward with that story. So Ethan Page is going to retain. I mean, if they really want to make it interesting, you could have Dr. Wagner cost Ethan Page the title. But then if you do that, what's Dr. Wagner fighting for then? You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be very interesting moving forward. Like I said, NXT cannot sweep this pay-per-view. TNA has to get some wins here, or else people are legitimately going to question what's the whole point of this partnership if you're just going to stomp on TNA the entire time. It will be the equivalent of the partnership that TNA had with AEW at one point in time, where it seems as though it was always about AEW and it never was about TNA. So I can only hope that this show kind of makes TNA look like a strong and viable brand, or somewhat as an equal to NXT, and we don't get the same old, WWE making it be known that like, okay, we're here, you guys are here, and partnership or not, that's the way it's going to be. I really hope that we don't get that. So that brings me to the end of this special edition of Brian versus the Dirt Sheets. Like as I stated earlier in this episode, we're going to be back with episode 124 of RingTakes, where we'll make our picks for Crown Jewel and cover any other news and notes from SmackDown. And as always, to end the show, see that? Even if it's a special edition, it's still my fucking show, and I matter. Now I'm about to go smoke a blunt. Enjoy y'all night.